Morning, everybody. This is your man, Mark Fuller, Free World Order, another video archive. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing to the YouTube channel, for liking us on Facebook. Thank you for those of you contributing financially to the Free World Order. You know what the goal is. Our goal is to raise $1 billion off top in order to build the first resource-based city, a moneyless city, a moneyless system that will provide for all human beings using the intelligent management of the resources of the planet. It's a lot better than what we're doing right now. Let me shoot straight into my topic. Why do people only care about things when it affects them? Or let me rephrase, why do people not care about things until it affects them? I like to talk about these different topics because most of the time we blame people for the way that they are. And I know that this is not something that is true. Like it's not. People are not to blame. Let me put it like that. People are not to blame for their behavior for the most part. Now, I'm not removing personal responsibility and accountability and things of that nature from people. But what I will say is that overall, as a society, we have to look at and be honest with ourselves about the way that society perpetuates certain behavior, like winning, competition. They say that competition is healthy and it makes you work harder and it's better and this and that and blah, blah, blah. In essence, competition creates division. Competition creates the loser mentality, which can lead to a lot of things that are negative, like depression. Well, Mark, what about the people that win? What about the people that win? You really only feel good when you win. Do you feel good when you lose? Let's be honest. Or do you feel like a loser? And I'm talking about on any level. It could be, a game. You might be playing a board game. If you lose the board game, you're going to feel kind of fucked up. And even though we know that it's not something to be taken seriously, it's only a game. It's like people will reduce and deduce something down to, well, it's only a game. Well, life is not a game. The life that we're living is not a game. So what happens when you lose in life? You see my point? A lot of shit follows after a person feels like they're losing or they have lost at the game of life, and life is not a game. So the things that are perpetuated within our society reinforce the bullshit, and it reinforces the way that people behave negatively. So when we look at and examine the way that people are acting, a lot of it has to do with the way that they have been exposed to things in society. A lot of it tells you about, well, I can tell that person right there has watched a lot of television, throughout their life, because they function and they operate a certain way. A lot of times they don't even believe anything unless it comes on the news. It has to come on the news in order for them to believe that it's true. You can tell them that something happened somewhere. If they don't see it on their news channel, they don't believe it. This is training and conditioning to the 10th power, because you're being manipulated and controlled, because you're being told what to think, and how to react. And then ultimately you end up doing it, because a lot of it is subliminal. It's on the subconscious level. It's not even on your conscious level after a while. After a while, you don't even make conscious decisions. You make decisions based on the way that you have been trained. You make decisions based on the way that you have been exposed over time to a certain type of behavior or a certain type of reaction. And it's real. I mean, you can see it anywhere that you look. Anywhere that you look. You can see it in children and you can see it in adults. So if you notice, most people really don't give a shit about something until it affects them. When it affects them, now it becomes something that they talk about. Now they're an advocate for it. Now, they're looking for ways to stop this from happening to other people and this, that, and the third. Well, you weren't really being proactive. That problem probably existed and was, affected millions of other people before it touched you. But you don't really give a shit about it until it affects you. This is the problem. Because human beings are being conditioned this way by the system that we are a part of that perpetuates the bullshit over and over again. You're really being trained to have a competitive nature. You're being trained to be selfish. You're being trained to be self-absorbed. You have to be self-absorbed to not be sensitive to the problems of human beings as a whole. It's just like you're thinking and you're waiting for someone else to fix problems. This is the follow the leader mentality. And most people are like this. Most of you are like this. And I know that to be a fact because a lot of times when I see comments on my videos, people will say, well, Mark, what you should do is, I like your videos, but this is a game of chess. It's not checkers. What does that even mean? And it's like, if you're watching my videos and you're listening to the content and the things that I'm talking about, and I'm opening up a dialogue really for people to just discuss these things so that we can actually talk about things that are relevant to humanity, talk about things that are relevant to us as human beings, instead of talking about bullshit all the time, like who won the fucking Super Bowl? Who really gives a shit? Who won the fight? Oh, there's going to be a fight on such and such. Oh, the Yankees are playing. Oh, the Red Sox are playing. Who really gives a fuck? While you're talking about that, right now children are dying somewhere on this planet from starvation. Right now somebody got shot. Just a moment ago, somebody got shot. It doesn't mean anything because it doesn't affect you. You see what I'm saying? Somebody just died from a disease that could have been avoided, that could have been prevented in the first place. Doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. Oh, well, it ain't me. Shit. If it ain't me, I ain't worried about it. But we can't save the world. See, that this is the problem. That is the wrong mentality to have, really, to solve anything. Because by you thinking that we can't save the world, first of all, that's not true. And it's not about saving the world. It's about literally creating a better world so that the world is a safer place for us to live and to exist. Because it's not safe, really, to even do certain things because of the way that the system has everyone conforming to a set way of being. And that set way of being is creating certain behavior in society because there is scarcity and there's things that are being held back from people. Just like if you know that you're sick and you know that you need some type of surgery or you need some type of medication and you can't get that medication because you don't have the money to get it. And you end up becoming more sick or, God forbid, you end up dying. That's another person that died from something that could have been avoided in the first place, all because of the society that we are living in and the system that we're a part of, which is a monetary-based system that relies on your ability to pay. If you can't pay for it, you can't have it. That is not human concern first. That is concern for profit first. Oh, well, everything has to be paid for. Yes, everything has to be paid for But the way that we're looking at that is all fucked up because we're looking at it in terms of money within the system that we're used to, that we only know about. But there's an alternative way of being able to function on this planet. There's an alternative way. It's better. Why are we using money when we can be using the resources? It's just like people pledging allegiance to their flag of their country. Think about that for a second. You're pledging allegiance to the flag. Why don't you pledge allegiance to the earth? There's a thought. If we pledge allegiance to the earth, we would not dump toxic waste. We would not be fucking up the environment. We would do nothing that's going to hurt the ecosystem around us, like the coral reefs and the fish in the ocean. We ain't gonna do stuff to fuck up the ocean life. We're not gonna be putting oil into and running oil pipelines that break under the water and pollute the oceans. We're not gonna do that type of shit, right? We pledge allegiance to the earth. You pledge an allegiance to a flag. What does that even mean? Oh, well, it's about the veterans and the people that died, to defend the country. I understand all of that. Of course, there's going to be death in war in defense of your way of life. But the way that you're looking at your way of life, the same way that you value your way of life, someone else values their way of life, and it creates conflict when governments disagree on whose way of life is the right way of life. That's what creates a war. And then on top of that, war is very profitable for the monetary system because that's when a lot of money is made. The banks make, the international banking cartel makes money on both sides. They finance both sides of a war. And then you get these companies that come in that build equipment, machinery, weapons. They make so much money off of war. It's crazy. None of this benefits us as mankind. So you got people dying for no reason, people pledging allegiance to their nation or their flag, really for no reason other than your way of life, the way of life that you think is the best way of life or the right way of life. You understand what I'm saying? It's like you're thinking that all of that is the right way of life because that's what you're used to. So if you are used to living a certain way, then that's what you're pledging your allegiance to, your lifestyle, your way of life. But you're only one culture. How many cultures are there that exist on this planet of humanity? Culture doesn't mean that it's absolute, it's the best. It doesn't mean any of that. Regardless of what culture you're in, what color you are, what language you speak, we all have the same problems. Same problems. Heart disease, cancer. We all need clean air, clean water, clean food. We all got common problems. So we actually should be working together as human beings to solve human problems. So when you start isolating and identifying yourself with your country and this, that, and the third, when it comes to your loyalty to where you were born, you're pledging allegiance and you're being loyal to just the culture that you were raised in or the environment that you were raised in, but you're not realizing that there's an entire world of people, human beings functioning elsewhere on the planet. It's not just about you and where you're from. And this is what the political system does. It exaggerates the way that you should be looking at yourself as a human being, and it separates you from others. And that separation and division is the way that a very small group of people that control and want to continue to control all the money and the wealth in the world, they keep that bullshit going because it's so profitable for them. To have you fighting and bickering and you doing hate speech, and you don't like this group of people, you don't like that group of people for whatever your reason is. You don't even know why. When people hate other people, you ask them, well, why do you hate them? Well, I just hate them just because they're this. What is the origin of the hate? You're a human being. Your blood inside is the same color. Your veins and your skeleton look the same fucking way. There's no difference. So your exterior looks different. You got a different shaped nose, different shaped lip. Your hair texture is different. Your skin color is different. So what? So the fuck what? You love your kids? I love my kids too. You want to see your kids live a wonderful life and do good in life? Me too. Guess what? I do too. We're the same. We're the same. So again, people don't look at shit until it affects them. So the way that we should look at things all the time is as if it was us. And this will create that nervous system that I talk about all the time. The nervous system where you should want the best for every human being on the earth. If you don't want that, there's something wrong with you. You really have to check into yourself and examine yourself. Why would you not want that for every other human being? Oh, well, there's mean people out there. There's evil people out there. Mean, evil people are created as a result of the environment that they are in. And if you were in a similar environment, who's to say you wouldn't be a mean or evil person? Who's to say that you wouldn't be disgruntled and fucked up in your head if you were those people living under the conditions that they live in, which were created by the same system that you're a part of, a same system that you contribute to and keep going? Who's to say that you wouldn't be the same way? Who's to say that? You see what I'm saying? So you can't look at things just from your own perspective and not take into consideration, what if that was me? Because in all fairness, you're not considering, well, if that was you, what would you do in that situation? How would you be? What would your behavior be like? What would your attitude and your mentality be like if you had to live in the same condition as that person over there? And if we do that more often, then we'll begin to see, you know what? This is actually not the way that we have to be as human beings on this planet. Why the fuck are we doing all of this shit? For what? You willing to die for your country? Why? And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm literally asking you, why are you willing to die for your country? Just because it's the country you were born in? Think about it. Before you answer that, think about that. You're willing to die for your country because of what? This is what I'm saying. See, every country has spilled blood. So no country is immune to things happening to that country because there has been war and conflict throughout human history. So the spilling of blood will continue to take place because you are loyal and you're willing to die for your country. But you're not understanding why. You can't explain why you're willing to die for your country. For what reason? If your only explanation is, well, because that's my country, that's where I was born, that's where I grew up at, that's where my parents were born, that's where their parents were born, it's not enough. And it's not enough, because if you keep going back and doing that, you'll trace your roots and your connection back to every other human being on the planet. Don't you realize that? That means that we're all connected to one another. All of us are connected to one another on this earth. If you're a human being, you are the same. You're not different. You're not separate. I don't care what your culture is, your color is, or what has taken place throughout history that has affected where you're from or your culture or your group. There's no groups. It's one group, human. That's it. And that is what the problem is today. People don't identify themselves with other human beings. People are looking at their color and where they're from, their nationality, their ethnic background, the language that they're speaking. Oh, well, I was raised here like this. Oh, you were raised like that. Those people do that. Who really gives a fuck? You fucking got kids? Yes. You love your kids? I got kids. I love my kids. Where does that leave us? It actually sounds like we kind of the fucking same. You believe in God, your God. I believe in my God. Okay. Oh, do we have different gods? I'm not sure if we have different gods, actually. You saying that you believe in God and God protects you. I'm saying I believe in my God and my God protects me. You see what I'm saying? So now when there's war, whose God is right, or whose side is God on if there's only one God? People identify with there being only one God. All right, if there's only one God, whose side is God on? Is he on your side or is he on my side? These are the questions you got to ask. You have to ask these questions and have these discussions. That's why I open up this dialogue. The more that we communicate with each other as human beings, the more that we will begin to understand one another as human beings. The less that we understand each other, the more conflict that it creates for no reason. And people die because of conflict. People die for no fucking reason. People suffer for no reason. When my son goes in the hospital, my son has a condition called sickle cell. When he goes into the hospital, he's on the same floor with other kids of other races that have some type of disorder, a cancer or a blood disorder or all kind of shit that goes on. What makes my kid different from the other kids in the hospital? There's no difference. I love my kid just as much as, whoever I might be in the same room with. Whoever that kid is, their parent loves them the same way I love my kid. There's no difference. And they don't look like us. They might be white. They might be Indian. They might be, Latino. Whatever they are. It doesn't matter. We're here for the same reason, for our child to get better. That's it. I want the same thing you do. And the more that you speak to people, you begin to realize, you know what? What the fuck is the world doing? Like, what are we doing? What are we actually doing? You run around chasing money. You want money simply so that you can have a better life. But everyone wants a better life, right? So when you look at people when they're fucked up and they're in a really bad position in life, put yourself in their shoes. What if that was me? Then you'll begin to actually have a nervous system and be affected when other people are affected, not just be affected when it's you. And that was the topic of this video. I like to look into and delve into these things because it's important that we discuss this type of stuff. The more that we open this up, the more we'll begin to realize, oh, well, Mark is not just talking about some new system and then, the resource-based system. He's actually talking about humans, people. Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about us as people, understanding one another, understanding our world. We live in the world that we're creating. We're making this world as we go along. So for you to just blame someone or something, no. One, you're a part of whatever system is here. The system that's running, that we're a part of, you're a part of this shit. You, me, us, we. So knowing that means that we have to look at things, question all of this shit. Why is this shit running the way that it is? Life is hard for people. Why is life so hard for people? This system is fucked up. This system is literally training you to be more fucked up. Well, how do you not be fucked up? You got to question the system, question everything around you, and actually start talking to people and communicating with people that don't look like you, don't sound like you. And you'll see that you actually have more in common with people than you thought that you did. Start putting yourself in somebody else's shoes when you see somebody in a fucked up place and realize that could have been you. And you probably would have done the same thing, if not something even worse than what they did in that condition, in that environment that person is in. Whatever they were exposed to, What if you were exposed to the same thing? How would you have behaved? That's how we have to be looking at shit. Straight up and down. So on that note, let me end the video. I say this every time. I try not to make these videos so long, but I be going into damn near a half hour sometimes just talking. But it's good. It's good to get this information out and this content out in these videos, because the more that we talk and dialogue and open up the discussion, the more that we are going to learn from each other and create a better world for all of us to live in. And I am for a world where everyone is able to have the essentials of life and to live life abundantly. That's not reserved for some people. That is reserved for every human being on the planet. That's why we are all here, to figure out how to exist in that state of mind and that state of being. And in reality, we have to make that state of mind reality on this planet. Why do you think Jesus prayed for thy kingdom come? Why is he praying for the kingdom of God to come to earth? Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Why would he say that? Because he touched on everything that I'm talking about. We're all the same. That's why he said it. That's why he said our Father. It's identifying the singularity of humanity. You can't question that. That's like saying, oh, well, no. Those people are not human. Yes, they are human. They are human beings. Yes, they are. Just because you say that they're not human beings? Come on, man. There's no such thing. And another thing, too, no such thing as good or bad human beings. It's the environment that you're in that creates your behavior. And that behavior is going to reflect good or bad based on the environment. Hello. On that note, I'm out, Mark Fuller. You guys take care. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and definitely contribute financially. Help us reach our goal of raising $1 billion to build the first resource-based city. I'm out. Y'all take care. Deuce.